This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Summer's here, and Nordstrom has everything you need for your best dress season ever. From beach days and weddings to weekend getaways and your everyday wardrobe. Discover stylish options under $100 from tons of your favorite brands like Mango, Skims, Princess Polly, and Madewell. It's easy, too, with free shipping and free returns, in-store order pickup, and more. Shop today in stores, online at Nordstrom.com, or download the Nordstrom app.
I'm Candice Lim.
And I'm Kate Lindsay. And you're listening to ICYMI.
In case you missed it.
Slate's podcast about internet culture.
And Kate, congratulations. You've been here for about 4 months now. How's it going? Are there any, HR violations you wanted to bring to the red table?
I mean, the closest I can think of is I come into the office and I really love having office access again.
Sure.
And there was one time I came in just to get a package, but I timed it with when I knew I would be hungry for a snack. And so I came in, got a package, went to the kitchen, rifled through what was there, grabbed myself a snack, and then left and was there for probably a total of 5 minutes.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Now is this...
But I don't know if that's a violation. I think that's
exactly
smart. I think that's girl boss.
I was going to say, though, speaking of snacks, there was a day recently where you went to the office. There were no Diet Cokes. Do you want to speak on this?
Yeah, when that happens, it's always a hard day. Thankfully, there were Diet Cokes today, but I always open the fridge with because it's like my little treat. I try not to drink soda outside of that. And so it's really special when I come in. And it was like on my first day, there was a fridge full of Diet Cokes. And I was like, I think I'm going to be okay here. Mm-hmm. But then when there's not, I'm profoundly disappointed.
Yeah, when there's not, it's the worst day of your life. And that is a movie. Mm-hmm. I get that, but this is good. I mean, as part of our bonding rituals, I did want to ask you something I've been thinking about, which is, where did you get your name from? Because the world knows you as Kate, but sometimes on Zoom, I will know you as Catherine, spelled like Catherine Hahn.
Yes, this is a thing that has haunted me forever, and it's like a mistake I made when I was 19, or like something I didn't think about the impact it would have, which is, yes, my full name is Catherine. I go by Kate, but on all like official documents, it says Catherine, and so I never know what name I've given for anything, because sometimes they just pull it from your official documents. Sometimes I provide it, and so whenever I go somewhere, they're like, the bookstore, and they're like, do you have a membership with us? I'm like, I do. And they're like, what's your name? And I'm like, it could be either of these. But that started because when I got my first byline, similarly, the website didn't ask for my name. They just pulled it from my email, which was my college email. So it had my full name. And then I was like, well, I don't want to mess up my byline by changing it. So I just stuck with Catherine. And then a few years ago is when I finally was like, I need to do a rebrand to my actual name, because the Catherine is confusing everyone. It's confusing me. Mm-hmm. Who am I? So Kate, but Catherine, depending on what byline you're looking at.
Okay, interesting that they pulled it from your email, your college email, because I actually thought your college email was Daniel Radcliffe Lover, 1234.
No, but that reminds me, I won't out this friend specifically, but have you ever had when your iPhone just randomly starts texting from your email, where it's like your friend has to be like, it's coming from email?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That happened to my friend, but it was like, and the email it was coming from was like, you can't stop the wizard rock, which is like a Harry Potter fandom thing. And I had to break the news to her that not only was it coming from her email, but it was coming from clearly whatever email she registered her Apple account with in high school.
Yeah.
It was a perfect moment.
Yeah. Oh my God. The worst part is I wish spam emails were that fun. Like, I wish spam texts were that fun, where they showed you, like, an email from someone's, like, 19-year-old days. But no, instead, they're telling me my FedEx package is here when it's like, I never ordered a FedEx package. Fools on you.
That's something we have lost to time, is like the making of fun usernames or emails like that aren't your name at all. I think we should bring it back. I think we should bring pen names back.
Yeah. And the real question I want to ask is, what is your relationship to your name? Have you ever wanted to change it? Do you like it? Where are you with the Catherine within?
I've always been a Kate from the beginning. And I've always felt that is correct. I definitely have thought about, like, should I just be Catherine, like, because of this one mistake that I didn't correct, like, as a 20-year-old? But I said, no, I will not let my mistakes define me. So I feel like a Kate. I feel like it suits me. I like that my Catherine is with a Y. I like finding other Catherines with a Y in the wild. So I feel like it fits me well. How about you? How does Candice, how does that roll off your tongue?
I love my name. A question I do ask all the time is, like, did I grow into my name or was I always a Candice? And let's save that for the Patreon. Anyway, so I do feel like every girl does have, like, a I want to change my name phase, maybe like around 12 or 13. I don't know why around that time.
Well, you're coming to your own. You're like, you don't define me, Mom.
Exactly. And I got over mine pretty quickly. I've never been in a class with another Candice. There was a teacher at my elementary school also named Candice, but she spelled her name with an A, so we have no beef. But in general, love my name. It suits me. I suit it.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up the spelling of your name, because it is something I'm always mindful of when I'm, slacking you or, talking about you with the many, many strangers I talk about you with.
Thank you so much.
But have you ever seen, like, a weird version of it in the wild? Like, obviously, I see so many Catherine spelled with, like, C's or with, like, an I-N-E. And I'm like, that's not the name. It's like it is my name, but it also, like, could not be further from my name.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many wild Candices, but I do wonder if some new parents, like, choose to, like, take a name that sounds pretty common, give it a little extra E, an extra I, a Y somewhere for that reason. There's, like, a uniqueness to it that's not so much making up a new name, but, putting a spin, a twist, a surprise on a classic that's technically easy to pronounce but hard to spell. And maybe that's the point, because have you heard of a subreddit called Tragedeigh?
I have not. I mean, I'm picturing something. There are so many tragedies online. Is it about tragedies?
Well, hold on to your horses, because not only is this subreddit about names spelled in the most horrendous way possible, but the subreddit is spelled Tragedeigh.
Okay, well, now I'm intrigued, because if there's one thing I love, it is a spelling bee where everyone loses. So first, let's take a break. When we come back, we're talking about baby names and why celebrities and influencers seem to be obsessed with making them as unique and snarkable as possible. Hi, listeners. I hope you're enjoying today's show. If this is your first time listening, then welcome. We're thrilled to have you here. In case you missed it, our show comes out twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So make sure you never miss an episode, like this past Wednesdays on Kayla Malik, a 19-year-old influencer whose domestic assault case was overshadowed by James Charles, Be Better, and side character drama.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called AutoQuote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies, so you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Oh, ICYMI listeners, do I have a scoop for you? So what is it, you ask? It's that Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Now, before anyone goes suggesting that this is just a rumor, know that there's actual proof that this kettle of tea is not only piping hot, but 100% true. So, yeah, sometimes it pays to be a little nosy, but it always pays to discover. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
And we're back. So, we are talking about baby names today because last week I stumbled upon the subreddit Tragedeigh for the first time, and I am obsessed. Basically, this is a subreddit that was started back in 2021, and it's a forum for people to pop off about insane spellings of regular names.
Yeah, the way moderators define a tragedy, noun, is, quote, a given name that has been deliberately misspelled or completely made up to appear more unique than it actually is. And we have to acknowledge the iconic image for this subreddit, which is of one of the best memes in American history.
It is a blonde, pregnant influencer with a chalkboard of potential names for her upcoming baby. And on the chalkboard, she has a bunch of names. The ones she's crossed out are things like Taylor, McCarty, Navy, Maylee. They're all spelled the way you don't think they should be. And then she lands on Lakin.
Yeah, you might also know this meme as, quote, chalkboard mom, but her name is McKinley Hatch, and ironically, McKinley is spelled McKinli, so apple tree. Not very far. But in 2012, she posted this image to her blog called Mommy's Little Sunshine, which thankfully she is now rebranded away from, and she has a sizable following on Instagram and TikTok, and she did actually reference her meme back in the 2023 video of her and Lakin, now spelled Laikynn, on the beach to kind of show what she looked like now. And the comments are very, very funny. There are comments like, oh, beautiful day at the lake with your daughter. But like all of those words are spelled in tragedy speak.
What's worse, this comment section or Leah Michelle's when she couldn't read? Honestly.
Oh my God. They're going toe to toe.
Yeah. And it's been 13 years since that meme first, hit the cultural lexicon, and yet it persists. And back to the subreddit. I really love their command of the English language because they made tragedy a noun. It's like their Google. And I want to note that we're not here to make fun of people's God-given names. Something I didn't tell you, Kate, is that Candice is actually my middle name. My government name is something else.
That is shocking to me. It is shocking.
I know. Breaking news, embargo. But trust me, I've gone through 16 years of like substitute teachers going down the class roster. You count down the L's until they get to you because they're going to bunk it. I've been there before.
Yeah, and this is not that. And I'd say the phenomenon they're mocking is like pretty exclusively a white people thing. Like white people maybe trying to jazz up the boring names we all kind of landed on. Because, why is your name spelled Dahkne, but it's pronounced Danny? Like, I know you didn't name him after your grandfather, so make it make sense. But your curiosity is warranted because I'm wondering, like, who is posting on this subreddit? Is it parents who see these names in their kids' classes? Is it soon-to-be parents who are worried and need a gut check before they name their kid something that they can't erase on a birth certificate?
A good question. Because I do think Reddit has this dual nature where sometimes it's like citizen reporting of like, look at this crazy thing someone else did. And then sometimes it's people trying to check themselves. I'm kind of thinking about the subreddit, Am I the Asshole? Which, by the way, in 2025, I feel like is the indicator. If you're posting on there, good chance you're the asshole, but like you're posting just to find some sympathy or because you're seeking forgiveness.
Right, from strangers.
Yeah.
Like everyone else in your life must misunderstand you, but maybe the strangers will validate you. But that's kind of part of it. Like the anonymity allows people to be their most honest selves. And yet we're talking about names, which especially when they're this unique, are identifying pieces of information. And so, like, well, you may be anonymous. The name you're sharing is pretty identifiable.
Yeah. To the point where last year, a healthcare worker posted a picture from, like, a patient portal of someone's name for the Tragedeigh subreddit. And it became, like, a privacy violation because that patient's first name was so unique. People were finding her on Facebook and messaging her about it. Like, she knew she was being made fun of. And from a cursory scroll, I go through the subreddit. I get the sense it's not parents like self-reporting, but instead reporting others. But also maybe it's not parents. Maybe it's non-parents who like just do this for sport. Because something I will say is that scrolling through this subreddit is like learning a new language. It's like an anagram.
Okay, first, once again, another thing that the internet has now made me scared that my healthcare professionals are doing behind my back.
You should be.
But no, I know what you're saying, because even just in researching this for the episode, you really do start seeing tragedies everywhere. It's the way like Succession kind of teaches you how to watch Succession. And I wonder if lurkers kind of see this as a game, because every time I clicked on one of these posts and I think I got it, they surprised me with a completely different pronunciation. And it really makes me laugh. But what's interesting is that unique names are not new to culture. I think for Gen X, it was Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin naming their child Apple Martin.
Which ended up being a slay because her Insta handle is Apple Martini, and I am so jealous.
Oh my God, yeah. See, talking of fun Instagram handle names, for us, I think the big news moments about baby names, it was Kim Kardashian and Kanye West naming their first child Northwest, which looking back, knowing what's to come, that was an oversized reaction.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I kind of love it now. I think it's simple and sweet, and there's just no way to mispronounce Northwest, so it is kind of a win.
But then you go a few sisters down in the Kardashian family, and you have someone like Kylie Jenner who, do you remember when she didn't name and then named and then renamed her second child? It was like a full-on saga.
Yeah, it was Wolf at some point. Now it's Aire, spelled A-I-R-E. And
that's a tragedy.
Yep. And then Kylie told Vogue that there was a third name in the mix, Knight, with a K. And then I think for Gen Z, they will probably remember Elon Musk and Grimes when they named their baby X-A12.
That's the first time I've heard that spoken.
Yep.
And I'm glad you were the one to tackle it and not me. But none of these are quite peak tragedy levels, because the subreddit's goal is not really about roasting unique names that have never been seen or said before. In fact, one of the mods' rules is that they want you to Google the name before you post it, because it might be a common name in another culture. Instead, the subreddit is coming for unique misspellings of common names, because it kind of comes off as parents putting in that extra bit of effort to stretch and maybe project uniqueness onto their child.
And I wonder if part of that comes from celebrity baby name fever translating into influencer land. Like, I'm sorry, but we have to talk about your girl, Trisha Paytas.
Listen, when she's relevant, she's relevant. And she is relevant here because she made headlines a few years ago when she named her first child Malibu Barbie and her second one Elvis.
Yep. And you know what? Looking back, I don't have a problem with it, because at least it's clear who she was referencing, and I have no beef with neither Barbie nor Elvis.
But I think this has become a game where an influencer's pregnancy becomes this like full-on campaign. You have the Clear Blue sponsored test announcement to the Babylist registry sponsorship. And I think naturally your followers start speculating, what are you going to name the kid? I don't think it's that far off from like sports betting, because it's like a multi-trimester season where you're tracking behavior and you're pooling options, and you technically win if the name they pick is the one you thought they would.
Yeah. And so do you think name betting or name prediction, specifically with influencers or celebrities, do you find it weird or invasive?
To me, it just gives more so like April 2020 lockdown vibes, in the sense that that's a game I would only participate in if I had truly nothing else to do.
Yeah. And I am glad you said that, because the subreddit Tragedeigh was started in 2021. And so there is kind of this era of like tail end pandemic. Usually if you find out someone's baby name is kind of whack, maybe you go to the baby shower, talk about it. Maybe, you meet up at the hospital during pandemic. You're not going to the hospital. Where else are you going to talk about it? Reddit. And I don't know. Despite all this, I love the subreddit, because I actually wonder if some people post on there for clout, to instigate, to push letters to places they've never been seen before. But why is that? Because let's be clear, these parents are not the ones who have to carry that name with them for a lifetime. It's their kids.
Right. And I have a few theories about why people love tragedies. But first, let's take a break. When we come back, do influencers choose obscure baby names to cause drama? And whether subreddits like Tragedeigh promote that behavior.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You You chose to hit play on this podcast today? Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. And that's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you can save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states and situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Every day, thousands of Comcast engineers and technologists, like Kunle, put people at the heart of everything they create.
In the average household, there are dozens of connected devices. Here in the Comcast family, we're building an integrated in-home Wi-Fi solution for millions of families like my own. It brings people together in meaningful ways.
Kunle and his team are building a Wi-Fi experience that connects 1 billion devices every year. Learn more about how Comcast is redefining the future of connectivity at comcastcorporation.com/Wi-Fi.
Oh, ICYMI listeners, do I have a scoop for you? So what is it, you ask? It's that Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Now, before anyone goes suggesting that this is just a rumor, know that there's actual proof that this kettle of tea is not only piping hot, but 100% true. So, yeah, sometimes it pays to be a little nosy, but it always pays to discover. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/creditcard. And we're back. And I want to bring up this piece that I wrote for the New York Times back in 2023, which is titled Baby's First Social Media Handle. It isn't about crazy baby names, but it's about the way some parents are locking down email addresses and social media handles for their children when they're born, even though those children probably won't use them for years and years. And this is an excerpt from it. Millennial parents like Chelsea Moylan, 34, came of age in the early aughts when the internet was new and still largely unexplored. Anytime there was a new social media, me and my friends were always on there early enough to get our name and do certain things, Miss Moylan said. It's a privilege she now wants for her 2 children, Josie, 2, and Franny, 6 months. She says, I was like, I need to get them their names, and I didn't want to have to put a dot in it. So a part of me is like, maybe that's what this is about?
Yeah, like they want names no one else will already have claimed on social media.
Yeah, although some of the weirdest social media behavior I've seen is when an influencer announces their baby's name, some fans will like go ahead and create Instagram accounts for those babies and their names and kind of run them like fan accounts. Like they'll just repost content that features the baby onto this page. Like, I don't know if it's because they are genuinely fans. I don't know if maybe they want to like, maybe they want the influencer to like try to offer to buy it from them. I don't know.
Oof, that is weird. Who does that?
Yeah, there are multiple for my favorite YouTubers, Zosug and Alfie Days.
Yeah.
There's multiple for Audley Rue, which is not a tragedy, just British. But yeah, there's a ton of fan accounts that have kind of calmed down now. But yeah, there was a real like burst of them after she was born. It was very odd.
Okay, good merch idea. T-shirt, not a tragedy, just British. Look, I don't know why fans would do it, but I guess I can understand why parents might want to. Like sometimes a child will get, I don't know, an investment account or a share in something as a gift when they're young with the idea that it will pay off when they're adults. And this is kind of the same with like digital real estate.
Now I'm like, oh my God, that would have been such a great gift. But I know if I was like 5 and someone got me that, I would be like, I don't even know numbers.
Exactly.
I don't even know what this is. But yeah, to your point, I actually spoke to someone named Frances Corey. She's a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Pennsylvania's Center on Digital Culture and Society. This was for that New York Times piece. And she kind of put it this way. She said, both the digital and children are sort of symbolic representations of a future. And so putting those two things together is really salient and anxiety-provoking as people start to think about what is the future going to look like for my child.
And it doesn't hurt anyone, so you might as well.
Yeah, but there's also this pessimistic side of me that's like, I don't know. I'm not convinced that all public figures who give their children outlandish names aren't maybe just thinking about engagement.
Yeah, because there's a lot of pressure, especially when people are speculating and predicting names months before the birth.
Yeah, and maybe you feel like you have to live up to that hype, or maybe you have like branding in mind, like my baby name needs to fit my aesthetic.
And I guess in a way the baby needs to fit the brand, and that like kind of depresses me.
Yeah, like kind of how you'll see like people talk about like beige influencer moms where like the child's room is like no colors because they've just like they want it to look good on Instagram for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it's like, you know, in terms of baby names and the internet, it's not like people used to not care about baby names. Like it's always been probably the most talked about part of pregnancy aside from like actually giving birth. Do you have any friends who get like territorial over baby names?
I like this question because, like, obviously my friends and I sometimes talk about it at brunch of, like, what would you name your kid? Da-da-da-da-da. I don't think they would admit it, but I'm pretty sure if two of my friends had babies around the same time and let's say one of them stole a name that was on the other person's list, they would be, like, very privately peeved about it and they would bring it up all the time and, like, kind of make it about them.
Yeah, I feel like I hear of people, like, staking claim, just sort of speaking it into the ether. Yeah, it can get people really heated, but I will say Tyler and I learned recently that a name that we like for our hypothetical future child is also a name that our two friends who are married had written down for their future child. And to complicate matters further, Tyler and the husband actually also have the same last name. It's very common. So if we were both to proceed, our children would have identical names.
Wow.
But I don't think either of us are going to budge. And truthfully, I would actually kind of find it funny if that's how things pan out. But then it is like, who am I to say I'm better than the influencers naming babies for aesthetic reasons when I'm like, oh, this would be fun for the bit.
Ooh, I mean, that's a good story, right? To be like, son, you were named for a bit. I mean, well, one of you could get the name as it's like normally spelled and the other could turn it into a tragedy.
Oh my God. I mean, maybe that's how this all started. Like someone was like, oh, I can't have the same baby name as you. Let me just add a bunch of like EIs and GHs and now it's not the same. It's totally different.
Yeah. And that's kind of the theme then for both wild baby names and tragedies. This idea that there's not enough names or space or room for all of us to be totally unique individuals, so this is what we have to do. Also, my genuine theory as to why new parents purposefully fall into tragedy territory is because, like, Emily, E-M-I-L-Y, is taken on Instagram, but E-M-M-A-L-E-I-G-H might not be, so is it possible they're choosing these weird spellings, like, for the Insta handle?
Yeah, the app, I would like to think that Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin were like, oh, Apple Martini would be a great Instagram handle. But I will say that like the unique name frenzy is also a very Western American thing. Like in other parts of the world, family names and sort of these cultural prescriptive name structures can dictate what people are called. But of course, in America, we're like, this is me. And I'm like, no one else.
And can I bring up the other thing that I find so fascinating about tragedies and specifically the subreddit?
Please do.
So sometimes the subreddit will like just evolve into people straight up shit talking children, which you obviously should not do to their faces. And making fun of their name isn't really making fun of them, the person, but their parents are the ones responsible and we don't see their faces. But I do wonder if this subreddit is like one of the few places online where it's okay or accepted or rewarded to discuss or make fun of children and their names, because there's so much concern about children's privacy and behavior online that this is one of the like last few unmitigated spaces where it's okay to poke fun at them because you don't know them, and the hope is that you will never know them in real life.
I do, though, need some outlet to interview some of these tragedies as they grow up. Like, growing up and learning, like, wait, I'm a tragedy. I imagine it's how my sister feels about having the middle name McFeeters, which, again, not a tragedy, just Scottish.
Yeah. Now, this feels like a good time to bring up the little assignment we set up for each other before recording today, which was to come up with our own tragedy versions of our names. Okay. I'll start.
Okay, perfect.
How do we feel about this? K apostrophe.
Oh my God, already unexpected for me.
And it's lowercase. Okay. K apostrophe HAND apostrophe IS S.
Wait, no, none of this went where I thought it was going to go. And I think that's how I know that this is a true tragedy.
Amazing. Okay, Kate.
mine pales in comparison now that you've said yours because, like, you know, I was starting with, like, Catherine.
Sure.
And I, you know, maybe I could pull an apostrophe out of your book, but what I was thinking about doing, yeah, okay, first let's do Kath and then like apostrophe, but then I kind of switched it up by doing Rynnne, just like making the end unnecessarily long.
Nice.
But then Daisy, our senior supervising producer, dropped in our Slack what Kate could be, because I was like, Kate's too small to work, but
Yeah.
Kayte.
Ooh.
I think that's good because it's like the most different yet the same. And so maybe I'll follow in my own previous footsteps and I'll just use both back and forth indiscriminately and just confuse people even more again.
I love that. I also love that we just kind of held like a dumb spelling bee for our listeners. Clearly this was so exciting. And obviously, should we be posting these to the subreddit? Oh.
Yeah. I'm surprised the subreddit doesn't have this. Like, can you please Tragedeigh my name?
Ooh,
or like,
that's an app.
You know what? I don't like AI, but I will allow it if AI can just be a machine that tragedies names for me, because I could have really used it.
Exactly. And that is the real tragedy. Okay, that's the show. We'll be back in your feed on Wednesday, so definitely subscribe. That way, you never miss an episode. Leave us a rating and a review on Apple or Spotify, and tell your friends about us. You can follow us on Twitter at ICYMI_pod, and you can always drop us a note at ICYMI@slate.com.
ICYMI is produced by Vic Whitley-Berry, Candice Lim, and me, Kate Lindsay. Daisy Rosario is our senior supervising producer, and Hillary Fry is Slate's editor-in-chief. See you online.
Or on McKinley Hatch's next chalkboard.